Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Football Overseas YouTube channel. We have another round this midweek of English Football League Championship fixtures. Effectively, will be game week 28. So we're ticking the games off now, thick and fast. So another busy week for those of us who follow the Championship closely. And as I say, a full programme of 12 matches across Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. So we'll have a preview of those matches coming up shortly. Just have a quick look back at the impact of the weekend's results on the league table. So at the top, we've got the usual suspects now and are looking like almost a breakaway group of four at the top. Leeds United, Sheffield United, Burnley and Sunderland are now collectively 9 points clear of Blackburn in 5th place. So they're looking very nicely for a battle royal at the top for the top two and the first two playoff places. And then there's obviously a whole stream of teams that have an eye on positions 5th and 6th. At the moment, and a lot of jostling around in that mid-table area. And then at the bottom, we had 4 of the bottom 5 picking up points, 3 of them picking up really excellent wins. And we'll look at those as we go through. But it does now mean that Plymouth, who didn't pick up any points and had a narrow home defeat against Queen's Park Rangers, are now 5 points adrift of anyone above them. So it's looking a bit bleak for the Plymouth guys, whose fans have travelled in great numbers again this winter so far this season. And so it's all looking a bit of a real big ask now for them to keep their championship status this year, but you never know. It can be made up. But we have Luton, incredibly, who got only relegated from the Premier League, were never expected to be in this position. We know they changed their manager. Rob Edwards has gone. And they have 26 points in second bottom place. And then it's, although it's not a position of safety, you would look glancing at the table, you think if you're in 17th place, you're sort of 7-8 places above the bottom, you'd be okay. But Millwall are still at risk, only 4 points clear of Luton. So it's that group of teams now that every single point in every match they play will be vital. And there are some on the slide and some who are starting to pick up points with some solid results. So there we go. That's the situation as it stands in front of us. We start on Tuesday the 21st with the first match up, which is Blackburn Rovers against Coventry City. Now, Blackburn went down to Oxford at the weekend and slipped up with Oxford on this extraordinary managerial bounce with Gary Rowett taking over from Des Buckingham a few weeks ago, and it's really had an impact on their results. Their form in the current form table is 4 wins and two losses over the last 6 matches. Incredible turnaround. And this, I think, was the win over Blackburn. Was probably one of their most impressive wins. A clean sheet against a good top 5 side, good solid top 5 side, and a well-organised performance. So Blackburn will be looking to get back on track. Coventry, their opponents on Tuesday night, had a 1-0 win over Bristol City. So 2 mid-table teams playing out a fairly low-quality match, as I understand it, with Coventry in the end nicking it in the second half. To clinch that with the 3 points. So they'll be happy with that, but it leaves them stuck in the middle, leaves Bristol City stuck in the middle. So, well, they're 9th, but they're only a few points away from that mid-table area. They're just not getting their foot down to make an impression. So Blackburn and Coventry, I think Blackburn will need to get back on track, really, because there's a whole host of teams galloping up behind them. They're on 42 points, and West Brom, Middlesbrough, Watford on 41. So we shall see what happens. But I'm going to take Blackburn to nick this by the odd goal, just by taking it by 1-0. Blackburn 1, Coventry 0. Then on to the second match, Derby County versus Sunderland on Tuesday night. Now, Derby are the team who will be having some worrying sleepless nights, their fans and everybody alike. They've had, in the current form, 5 losses in the last 6. So they are in a bit of a free-fall mode at the moment. And one of the teams in that group at the bottom on 27 points that are staring danger right in the face at the moment. And I don't think a visit of Sunderland is going to help too much. Sunderland had an extraordinary goalless draw at Burnley. Extraordinary for the reason that in the last few moments, Wilson Isidore missed 2 penalties late on in the match, one in stoppage time. And James Trafford, the goalkeeper, read the penalty kick correctly twice. Isidore put the kick almost in the same place twice, very firmly hit. It wasn't the fact that he put it over the bar or tried to be clever with anything. He just hit what he probably is true to his usual penalty taking routine, and the keeper gets right twice. I always think if you go low and hard, you do give the keeper a chance. But it must be his tried and tested routine. Felt really sorry for him at the end. He was inconsolable, really. Unfortunately, had to be helped off with his teammates, and it was. We don't like to see that on football pitches, or players that distraught through what they feel is letting their. I'm sure he felt he let his side completely down, but it was an unfortunate situation, and it cost Sunderland 2 valuable points, and they would have been. They would have flipped over Burnley. Burnley would have been fourth, and Sunderland would have been third. Anyway, on to the next game for him and Sunderland, and I think they will rack up at Derby and take the points on Tuesday night. So I'm going to say Derby County 0, Sunderland 2. Derby, of course, losing to Watford at the weekend. So yeah, not scoring goals. They've stopped scoring and they're conceding, and it's Derby, just on the slide a little bit to see if they can arrest it, but not at the expense of Sunderland, I don't think. On we go to Hull City and Queen's Park Rangers. Now, Queen's Park Rangers still picking up their points, really looking good. 3 wins on the trot. And they had a really gritty but vital 1-0 win down at Plymouth at the weekend. And Hull City picked up an excellent away win at Millwall. And they're just arresting their side as well, although they're still precariously poised just outside the bottom 3, are only on goal difference. They've only lost 1 of their last 4, and they're just starting to pick up a few points now. They've had their sort of almost, you could almost say, second managerial change of the season. Admittedly, Liam Rossini was removed before the season started, but it felt all part of the same season. But there we go. So Hull and Queen's Park Rangers, I think, will battle out a 1-each draw with their both having renewed confidence. But don't be surprised if QPR nick it. But I'm going to predict, my scoreline prediction will be Hull City 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1, with a little star against it. And QPR may take this because they're just on a really good run. Then we go to Middlesbrough against West Bromwich Albion. Now, Middlesbrough fell foul of the Fratton Park faithful. They stoked everything up down there on Saturday and helped their team to a 2-1 win over Middlesbrough. Held up with a medical incident in the crowd, who we've since learned that person lost their life. So that's a really sad note, and everyone's thoughts are with them when you go to football. What a sad thing to happen. You have an incident, a medical incident that costs your life. That's an awful thing to happen. That game was delayed, but it didn't do Portsmouth any harm. Although they did go a goal down, they came fighting back in the second half and took the points by 2-1. So Middlesbrough just having that up and down period at the moment. They can't find any real consistency. They've only lost, that was their first defeat, admittedly, in 6, but 4 draws out of and a win in their previous 5. So they just need to just get back on a bit of consistent winning streak if they can. And I think they will against West Bromwich Albion. Now, West Bromwich Albion's a happy story from the weekend because they've appointed Tony Mowbray. And what a delightful recovery it is to see him. The thing it is to see him recovered from his cancer scare or cancer treatment that he's had. He's very open about that now, and he's been cleared of it now and fighting fit, ready to take on the rigours of the Championship again. So that's a lovely story, and we welcome Tony back into the fray. And he will he went straight into a match against Stoke on Saturday, who are, I think, a very astute appointment of Mark Robbins. I think I said that last time around. And they battled out a 1-each draw. And I think Tony Mowbray and West Bromwich Albion will find Middlesbrough a tough nut. They will have to show some resolve, Middlesbrough. I think they will at home. So I'm going to take home advantage to be the key in this one, and Middlesbrough to take the match by 2-1. And then we have Oxford United against Luton Town. Now, Oxford, as I say, on this run, and Luton Town desperate for points now to try and sort of pull clear of the relegation. It's incredible if they're on the verge of a double relegation. However, Oxford's at home, I think, buoyed by their excellent performance and win over Blackburn, and the Gary Rowett bounce and this influence he's had on them, I think is going to see them home. So I'm going to take Oxford to beat Luton by 2-1. Luton, of course, playing out a 0-0 draw, which doesn't sound much. And when you've lost 4 on the trot, it is a significant sort of stop of the losses. So they picked up a point, kept a clean sheet, and can they progress on that? Not at the expense of Oxford, I think, on Tuesday night. Then we have Swansea against Sheffield United. Now, Swansea were really put to the sword in the South Wales derby at the weekend. Cardiff put them away by 3-0, which really did Cardiff's league position a healthy jump out of that relegation zone. As I say, it's all in the thick of it down there, but they've put themselves in the mix. And they haven't been beaten now in 5 games, 3 draws and two wins. So they're starting to get some results again. They've just had their graph would not be very consistent either. It's been up and down, more downs than ups, unfortunately, which is why they find themselves only a point away from the relegation line. Swansea fell foul of the little Cardiff mini revival. Swansea slap bang in the middle of the table. And the results are sort of showing that. A couple of wins and a loss and a draw. You know, it's all a bit messy at the moment. And I think Sheffield United would just come there and be too good for them on Tuesday night. Sheffield United, I checked, did I say Wednesday? Sheffield United will come down and be too good for them and take the points. I think in a fairly routine 2-0 victory. Swansea City 0, Sheffield United 2. Sheffield United, I should add, had an excellent win over Norwich at home. 2-0 as well. Then we have Watford against Preston North End. Watford just arrested that little slide of winless run, 3 losses and a draw, with an excellent 2-0 win against Derby. So they'll be happy about that to get their win column ticking again. And Preston battled out a 0-0 draw down at Luton. So any point for Preston away from home, I'm sure they'll be happy with. But they now have 13 draws in that column. See, that's 26 dropped points. I always look at it like that. It's probably not the way to do it, really, but some of those draws, I'm sure, were really good and really hard fought. And I'm sure that was the case on Saturday. So they played out a 0-0, and I think they'll go down to Watford. Watford's home record is still pretty good, even though they've had a couple of blips lately. I'm going to say Watford 1, Preston 0, Preston North End 0. Then we have Millwall and Cardiff. Cardiff, as I say, have that healthy South Wales derby victory, and they'll be confident after that. And Millwall went down at home to Hull, which is a bit of an alarm bell concern again for a team that is struggling to get any wins at all at the moment. No win in 5. And just as I say, at the moment, the team that everybody is putting their benchmark with, saying, right, let's get up. They've got them in their sights. And after the results at the bottom of the league at the weekend, that their comfort zone that they may have had has been closed up a little bit. So Millwall will be desperate to get points. I can't see it. I'm going to take Cardiff. And this is one of those real key battles in this relegation bracket. Millwall and Cardiff. I think Cardiff will take the points narrowly, because Millwall, what they're not doing is getting beaten very easily, but they are getting beaten. I'm going to take them to lose again by 1-0. Millwall 0, Cardiff 1. Taking us into the 4 games on Wednesday, and the first of those is Leeds United against Norwich. Leeds United had a very straightforward win against Sheffield Wednesday to maintain their position at the top of the table. That was nice and comfortable for them. And Norwich had a 2-0 defeat against Sheffield United. Sheffield United. So I think Norwich will have a real task on their hands to get anything from Leeds on Wednesday night. And I'm going to take Leeds to take the match by 3-1. So Leeds United 3, Norwich 1. Then we have Portsmouth against Stoke. Now this will be a real test of Mark Robins' tenure, his early tenure at Stoke. Portsmouth have turned Fratton Park into a real haven for them points-wise. They're picking up all their points at home and getting still pretty soundly beaten away, or certainly getting beaten away. They've had some unlucky refereeing decisions in a couple of games that I've watched highlights of, but for sure. However, their home form now is beginning to look like the saviour for them if they can maintain it. But you are under pressure to do that when you're not picking up points away from home. So this is another key one. And it's a vital one in that game. It's two teams in that bracket at the bottom. With Stoke sort of having some sort of stability with Mark Robins in charge now. But they have had 3 draws on the trot with a win. So beaten in 4 if you take the positive from that. Portsmouth, 2 wins in the last 6. The 2 home wins that I'm talking about there. The home form is the key to them. I think Stoke will grab a point here. It will be tough because Portsmouth are really confident at home at the moment, and the fans are feeding off that, and they're feeding off the fans, and it's all and underlines it'll be a cracking atmosphere on Wednesday night. So I'm going Portsmouth to battle out a draw with Stoke. Stoke, as I say, showing signs of improvement for sure. Portsmouth 1, Stoke City 1. It leaves us with 2 games left to quickly look at. We have Sheffield Wednesday against Bristol City. Sheffield Wednesday will be disappointed with their sort of easy loss at Leeds by 3-0. They're still nicely placed, and after, as I keep saying, after last season, this is a bit more relaxed for them at the moment. But you don't want to get too complacent. It's very easy for those mid-table sides thinking, okay, we're getting towards the stage when we're starting to run the clock down on the season, but you don't want to do that because it can creep up on you, and suddenly you're in a battle. So I think Sheffield United and Bristol City, as I say, had a tame loss up at Coventry, and I think it'll be another loss for them here. I think Sheffield Wednesday will see this as a chance to get into the 40s, as in go on to 40 points on Wednesday night, and they will run out 2-0 winners. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Bristol City 0. And finally, we have Plymouth Argyle at home to Burnley. I can't see anything else other than a Burnley win here. Although Burnley didn't play particularly well against Sunderland. Sunderland had all what I saw of the highlights. It doesn't give you the best perspective, obviously, all the time. But what I saw of the highlights, aside from the 2 late penalty misses, Sunderland did also have the better chances across the match. So Burnley will be looking to get some goals here down at Plymouth. They can't afford to drop points to Plymouth if they're going to keep pace with the Leeds and the Sheffield Uniteds of this world, and even the Sunderlands, who are hot on their heels as well. So, important game for Burnley to really show their dominance that they've shown to be in the top 3. Plymouth, as I say, are 5 points adrift now, and probably feeling a chill wind of relegation blowing up off the South Devon coast. So it's not looking great for them, but let's hope they can start to be competitive again and start to put the pressure on the teams above them for Plymouth's sake, for Plymouth fans' sake, and all connected with them. But I think it'll be this will be one game too far for them to try and start that process. It's going to be Plymouth Argyle 0, Burnley 2. So there we are, a midweek bonus this week for the Championship fans. A busy week overall as we come back again at the weekend and review another round of matches, and of course we'll preview another round of matches, and we'll review what goes on in this midweek in this midweek programme. Looking forward to it. I hope you all have a good week. Take care, stay healthy. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as always, and I will see you all again very soon. Take care.